So we'll have to probably just run it out for this. I can sit up
I
here.
can sit here too.
Or
She's the one.
whatever works for you guys. So as long as is it showing you which one? Okay, there it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
Ready?
Yeah. All right. Hi, guys. Thank you for bearing with us. Sorry. We had radio communication issues and now we had technology issues. But my name's Afton. I am a flight medic with Lifeline. I also brought Kaylee with me.
Hello, I'm a flight nurse with Lifeline.
And then Ryan, who's trying to hide in the back, is our pilot. So all aviation questions will be directed that direction. You will be able to answer. But the reason we came out today is to do a little bit of LZ training with you guys. Sounds like you're calling us more, which we love. We just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page when you do call us. So Lifeline itself has 5 helicopters based all along the Front Range from Cheyenne all the way down into Colorado Springs, La Junta, Pueblo. The 2 ships you're probably going to encounter the most are us, which is Lifeline 1, and then our ship up in Cheyenne, which is Lifeline 3. If we are out on a call, they may come in for us. So those are really the only 2 that you will see.
Sorry.
Oh, going too fast. So when you guys activate us, there's a couple ways you can activate us. You can do a ground standby, which basically we're always on a ground standby. That just means that we're aware that you guys potentially have a call for us. We may mosey up to our ready room. We may start getting in the mode of like, hey, we know we have a call. This is what we're going to do. So basically, we're always on a ground standby in reality. The other standby you can do is an air standby. When we get an air standby, that means that we pack our blood, we get everything, and we get in the air. That doesn't mean that we will land. That means we'll go to where you need us and we'll orbit if we have the fuel. If we don't have the fuel, sometimes we'll land even if you don't want us, just because we have to land to not burn so much fuel. And then we have a go. And if we get a go, that means we're coming, we're landing, we're going to help in any way we can. Remember that we are a resource to you guys, so just because you call us, there's no cost to you to call us, and we can come out and help you guys and not take a patient. If you have a big MCI and you need extra hands, call us. We're always there. So anytime you think you need us, call us. And I would say if you truly think you need us, put us at least on an air standby. Get us in the air, because a ground standby doesn't dedicate us to your call. So if we are on a ground standby and we get a go for another call, we will leave your call, go to another call, and they will call in another helicopter to come and be your standby. So if you think you need us, call us. Is the best policy, honestly. There's no auto launch, guys. So if you need us, you have to request us. We can't like listen to the radio and be like, ooh, this sounds like a really bad traffic accident up in the Thompson Canyon. We're going to go. We can't auto launch ourselves. We have to get a formal request from you guys. So we're requesting a helicopter. There's a couple ways you can do it. You guys will probably go through your dispatch, tell them I need a helicopter. They will call our dispatch center. If that's not the case, you can call our line dispatch. These are the 2 numbers that you can call. You basically just tell them who you are, what you're requesting, the location. If you have GPS coordinates, great. If not, mile markers, closest town, something to get us in that general area. Type of incident, mechanism, and then ground contact, if you have one, in radio frequency, is always great. So most of the agencies around here use STAC-D. That's what we're familiar with. That's what we have. It's a great line of sight communication for us. Weather at scene, if there's going to be any potential hazards for us on the scene, if you can let us know, that's great. We will do a weather check before we even accept the call. So you may call us and we may decline just because of weather, because we see something up there that you guys don't. And then any other responding aircraft. If you have an MCI and you're calling in 3 or 4, or you need 3 or 4 helicopters, we need to know that there's going to be multiple aircraft coming in so we can all communicate with each other. All right, so this is the aircraft specs. Ryan can probably answer these questions if you have any of them about this a little bit more. But we do fly in an Airbus H125. It's a single turbine engine. It does have a crash-resistant fuel tank. I guess, like, he's nodding yes, like, I don't know. So our crew consists of 1 pilot, 2 med crew, so it will usually be a combination of a medic and a nurse, but there are times that you will see a nurse. We can never go medic due to CAMES reasons. We always have to have a nurse, so you will always see at least 1 RN on the aircraft. Average cruise speed is 135 knots, which equates to how many miles per hour?
Roughly 150, 155.
There you go. Because that's always the question, is how fast miles per hour. I don't know. Maximum Unfueled range, so that means that how far we can go without getting additional fuel is about 340 nautical miles. And then altitude, take that with a grain of salt. It says maximum is 23,000 feet. That is with nothing, and I mean nothing on the aircraft and the pilot sitting on a bucket. So we can't go that high in reality. So safety around the helicopter. So we prefer that you stay up at the nose of the helicopter because the pilot can see you, we can see you, there's no danger up there. When acceptable is on the sides, the like 3 and 9 o'clock positions, don't go past the aft though. There's a door, when we go out, we'll kind of show you. Back of the helicopter is a no-go, especially if we're hot, because that tail, a rotor spins so fast that when it's spinning, you can't see it. And people have walked into them before, it's terrible, nobody wants to do that. So stay north of the helicopter if you can. Stay away from the tail. We go back to that slide, sorry. Yeah. Another thing to really remember is terrain as well. So if you're walking in and the rotor is spinning hot, you need to make sure that you get eye contact with the pilot because they can control which way the rotor disc goes when it's running. So you want to make sure that they know that you're coming so they don't dip that rotor blade the way that you're walking. Same thing with hills. We never want to go uphill because that rotor blade is going to be closer to that ground. So we always want to go downhill anytime we get out. So that may mean staying really close to the nose, walking around and going to the safe side, the downhill side to get out wherever we're going. We'll talk about that next one in a second. I think it comes up again. So here's some of our weather requirements. Like I said, every time that we get a call, before we even accept a call, we will always do a weather check. The pilot does it along with the 2 crew members. So our day limits are 1,000-foot ceilings and 3 miles of visibility. Night is 1,505 miles of visibility. It increases at night, obviously, because it's harder to see things and we go under NVGs, which makes it a little bit more difficult to see things like fog and stuff under NVGs. Wind limits is 40 knots sustained, so 46 miles an hour, or 15-knot gust spread. It's pretty windy when it gets that windy. Sometimes we will not go even when it's less than that because it's just rocking us out there, especially as you go up into the mountains, into the terrain, we really get rocked and it's hard on us. So, and then it's hard for them to land if it's that windy as well.
Yep.
We can always rendezvous with EMS. So if you're up in the mountains and there is overcast in the mountains, but down the canyon a little bit, there's not, we can always meet up with an ambulance and take them that way. We rendezvous with EMS all the time. So just because we can't go exactly where you want us doesn't mean we can't get you somewhere else to get the patient where they need to be.
Pushes more.
Search and assist, we do go out and search and assist sometimes with the SARS teams. Our weather requirements, I think, go up a little bit more with that and we're a little bit more cautious just because sometimes it puts us in a more dangerous situation. So they're a little bit higher, so it's a 5,000 foot with 5 miles of visibility. So we have to have definitely more of a ceiling to go out and do search and assist. All right, choosing the LZ. So this is where we start to, look at you guys and have you help us. So we need a 100 foot by 100 foot zone, foot clearance on all sides essentially. So if you can get a 100 by 100 foot box, that's great. That's what we would like. That's our minimum, but bigger is better. So if you can find something that's bigger than that, perfect. Just don't go smaller. We prefer a really flat spot, no slopes greater than 10 degrees, like I said, because then that causes the rotor blade to hit ground and do things we don't want to do. So the flatter you can find, the better we are. If you can mark the LZ, mark it, lights, cones, smoke, or you can, just set your vehicles up so we kind of know in between the 2 vehicles or in front of my vehicle, this is where your flat spot is. Don't shine any kind of lights at the helicopter, especially at night when we're under NVGs. We don't want to blind the pilot. And then if you, have the radio, make radio communication with us. That's the best way to communicate with us. Then you can tell us exactly where the hazards are. You can tell us patient info is helpful for us, but if you don't have it, you don't have it. That's fine. We'll figure it out when we land. But keep it brief. And then we use the clock method. So the nose of the helicopter is 12 o'clock. And then you go around, so 3, 6, 9, back to 12. And that way, no matter where you're standing and where we are, we always know what you're referring to. Stack D is line of sight only, so if we're coming over a mountain ridge, we might not get you until we're actually over that ridge, and then we'll hit you on the radio. But we start trying to contact you about 5 minutes-ish out, so just be ready for that. We'll try to contact you as much as we can. So there's the clock.
Oh. Gosh, Sorry, absent.
That's okay. That needs to be under, but that's okay. Anywho.
Oh gosh.
Whoa.
I don't like this. Yeah.
All right, so LZ commander, you guys are familiar with this. You appoint one person to kind of be our commander. If you have that when you call us, great. You can say like Colton did today, your ground contact is engine 42, stack D, and it's him. Great. So if you can get one person to help land us, great. Choose that LZ with a backup in mind if you can, because there's times that we will come in and say that LZ doesn't look good to us. We're going to find an alternative. So if you already have an alternative in mind, it helps us out a little bit. Scene safety, so make sure that there's no one or any animals, any things around as we come in and we take off. Don't let anyone drive to the helicopter. If we're landing on a road and shutting it down, if we're landing on a road, the road needs to be shut down. Nobody trying to pass us and get close. So nobody within 50 feet of the helicopter when the blades are turning. And don't let anybody walk up or under the blades unless it's one of you guys and you've gotten a thumbs up and we've communicated that that's going to happen. Keep helicopter safe when on ground, when it's on the ground. So if we land on, we would like to have one person stay with the helicopter. The pilot usually will, but if we can get one more of you guys, if you have the personnel, that's great, just to kind of help control people. Because they see the helicopter and everybody loves the helicopter and wants to go to the helicopter. All right, so hand signals.
Did it just skip? Hold on. There we go.
Oh, it did. All right, so when you're choosing, sorry, these slides are a little out of order, but that's okay. So when you're choosing an LZ, we use HOTSAW. It's just an acronym. We all in fire and EMS love acronyms because it helps us remember stuff. So hazards, obstructions, terrain, surface condition, animals including people, and wind weather. So kind of something you can keep in mind. This is when you give us the report, that's kind of what we're looking for. Are there any hazards? Are there any obstructions? Is our terrain good? The surface in the summer, we will have what's called a brownout. In the winter, we will have what's called a whiteout. We'll go over that in a couple more slides, so I won't get too in depth. But those are really important for us.
It keeps bouncing. I'll just do this.
And there it is. So the rotor wash from the disc is a ton of wind. So in the summer when it's super dry and we haven't gotten a lot of rain, you're landing us on a dirt road, we're probably going to brown out. So we may ask you to squirt the water down or squirt the road down with water or move us to a grassy area that's not going to brown us out. And so if you see us come in and we start to brown out, we watch as crews, and once it gets to our doors, we will abort landing there, because if the pilot loses the side of the ground, then we are all in trouble. So same thing with snow in the winter. If it's light, fluffy snow, it will white us out, which is essentially the same thing, only with snow. So same thing, if we lose sight of the ground, we will abort immediately and not land at that location. And sometimes they can hover and kind of clear it, as long as they keep sight of the ground. That's more of a question for Ryan, though. Hand signals, if you don't have radio communication or it's been lost, you can use hand signals. I will tell you, from the air, it is very hard to see your guys' hands. The one that we usually see is this. And we don't know if that means come here or go away. So the best thing you can do is, if you want us to abort, is as big as you can, just cross your arms and tell us no. Don't wave them, just cross them, because as soon as we see you cross them and hold them, we're aborting that landing regardless. So if you see something, you have no radio communication, that's the biggest one, is abort. Other than that, if we see you just standing there and we're going to assume everything is good and we're going to keep coming in, obviously we're still looking for hazards as we come in. So if possible, try to land the helicopter, so put your back to the wind, so you're telling us to come in, so we're landing into the wind, that kind of thing. But if you don't have radio communication, it's kind of hard to talk to us and communicate with us, quite honestly. So like they say, both arms straight up, wind, land here, wind is at my back. Same thing if you're just, even if your arms aren't up, if you're standing, we know that this is where you want us to land, type thing, and then arms crossed above the head. Biggest thing, if you're gonna come in, especially if we are hot and the rotor is spinning, you've gotta get a thumbs up from the pilot. And that's also when you're leaving the rotor disc. So people are really good about like, yep, thumbs up, I'm coming in, and then they get whatever they want and they take off and they don't get the thumbs up before they exit the rotor disc. So just make sure that you're always getting that thumbs up with the pilot. And at night, if you can't see them, they will use the spotlight, or they have like lights on there, and they will tell you yes or no, kind of if you're good to come in or not. Once again, very, very important. So search and assist lift ticket. So we'll touch on this a little bit. So like I said, we do search and assist, and we do a program called lift ticket. So what happens is you go through a separate class, And if the conditions are right and we can get you up to a higher point to get to a patient that needs search and rescue, we will take them up, drop them off at a higher point and get them to that patient. And then once they make patient contact, they can decide if it's a medical patient and if we will then take over medical care or not. Some of the things that we do need for that though is AAOC approval is needed. So that is the pilot's boss needs to say, yes, we can do that. It's limited to 1 standard fuel load. They need to have proof that they've taken that class. They carry a card that says, yes, I've been through lift ticket, I've been signed off. And all personnel must be secured in a seat with a seatbelt and headset when we take you up for that. Things we don't do is 1-skid landings. We will not jump. We won't repel anything from the helicopter, so you won't see us like doing some cool hovering move, like shoving bags off, like none of that. We don't do any of that. We won't drop. We won't fly with the doors open. You will see us pop doors sometimes as a crew as we get closer to the ground to make sure we're really looking for obstacles. Both doors on this helicopter open. The other helicopters, only the left door opens, the right does not. So sometimes if we come in for landing, you will see us pop doors, and that's what we're doing is just getting that extra view for obstacles. And then anytime that we take a lift ticket or anybody, there's got to be at least 1 medical crew on board. So a lot of times one of us will hop off, the other one will stay, and we'll get people where they need to go. So we're going to go over some LZ examples now. This is kind of interactive now. I want you guys to look at these LZs and tell me what you, like, go through hot saw and tell me what you guys see, what you think, if these are good LZs, if they're not, and why you would want us to land here or not. So let's start with the left picture. So what kind of hazards do you see?
Guardrail and just the scene itself.
Okay.
And
Okay. Obstructions.
Not really anything overhead, but a lot of loose debris that could be thrown up.
Yep. Absolutely.
just access to the helicopter itself. There's a river right there. How are we getting across?
Yep. Absolutely. And this one, we don't see a lot of people, right? There's not a lot of people. Weather, wind looks good.
Do you guys prefer landing in that field versus that road, or?
So this one is, yeah, I mean, the road's fine as long as we don't brown out, right? So if it's a gravel road that doesn't have a lot of dust, the road's fine. Our biggest obstacle is me and Kaylee having to figure out how to jump that little ravine to get to the patient. And that might mean, like, this picture is hard because maybe there's a road right here that takes us across, that we can easily get across, and there's a culvert. Like, we're not seeing that, but that's what we're kind of like looking at. There was one time that we landed in the Poudre River, and it was all great. Like, we found a drag spot, but then the other crew member and I looked at each other and we were like, how are we gonna get across the river? Like, this wasn't the best, so then we had to replan our landing. So yeah, great, right? So not the best place, but probably the safest place for us to land, and then we can figure out how to get to the patient from there.
Next one.
All right, what do you guys see on this one?
Roadway, lots of cars.
Buildings, probably power lines, things like that. I can't see.
Yep. So you can see back here, there's power lines running, right? So they're running along here. So those are definitely a hazard for us. This is a pretty tight little space to land in, quite honestly. And what we would be concerned about is all of these cars mean that there's all those people. And when people see helicopters, they want to come at it. So I think, you know, if you had the personnel to secure that scene, that's great. But it would definitely be something that's in our mind, like that we're paying attention to. And then you are close to the building, and I don't even know where the scene actually is from this picture, but yeah, definitely things to keep in mind. But as you see, because we landed in a roadway, the roadway is shut down here, and I guarantee you it's shut down in front of us wherever. All right. What do you see with this one?
Road conditions are probably gonna be pretty slick for you guys, so not necessarily worried about like the whiteout, but just what that's gonna do for surface contact for you guys to land to the skids.
Okay. And another thing to think about is also all of us trying to take a patient out, right? So we're all gonna be slipping and sliding, even if they're on a cot, like that could cause some issues of us sliding, especially if there's any sort of significant slope on that road. It doesn't look like it from this picture, but you never know. And then, you know, up in this picture, it looks like it's a good LZ, but you do have trees, you do have boulders, there's some trees behind. So just things to think about. All right,
Next one.
next one. That's not a great one. Honestly, I don't know what she was,
Yeah, it looks like
Just
a
narrow.
tight roadway, but
super tight,
And tall trees.
100.
100 by 100. If we can, but as you go up the canyon, right, it's super hard because like that's just not feasible. So sometimes the road is the only way, but that's when we try to find like turnouts, like if there's any sort of pullouts that we can get more room on, if there's any sort of like where roads intersect and we can shut all I mean, it stinks for people, but it is what it is. If we can shut all those intersections down and give us an area to land right in the center of, that's the best. But sometimes that's just not the case, and this is what we have. It's just super tight, and then as you can see, it makes it super tight for the ambulance as well. And I think this one is a similar one. So as you see, so where the motorcycle accident happened, there's actually a pullout here, which gave us room to be able to like land and kind of have the tail a little bit. But yeah, so you guys get it, like all those hazards though. We were talking about trees, you know, there's tons of trees, and then there's a river on the other side. So just things to be aware of, but sometimes that's all there is. And then this is an interesting picture that was taken in flight. So you see there's another aircraft up here. So those are things to think about. So this was, I think, Lifeline 3 that came in. So we were both called in. So now we need 2 LZs instead of 1 to get us landed, right? Now, potentially, it looks like, I don't know if they're coming in to land or to take off, but if they were taking off, we could go out and do a big recon, let them take off and land where they were. But if they're landing and we need to land, then we need 2 LZs. So we need that much more space. And then the other one looks like a bunch of fun, too. So things to remember, important things. If you think you need us, call us. There is no charge for you calling us. If you cancel us, we're fine with it. Those are our best flights, the ones where we get to go out and fly and have no paperwork. Right? So call us anytime, we're always there. Don't worry about the weather. You let us make that decision. If you need us, call us. We will be the ones that say yay or nay because of the weather. If we're on standby, we're not committed. We can be pulled to an actual flight. Just remember that. So like I said, ground standbys and even air standbys, technically we can still be pulled from. So if you truly need us, send us on a go. There's no auto launch. We must have the formal request. We are able to land without an LZ zone set up or with radio communication. If it comes down to it, we can find our own LZ, we can land ourselves, but we would much prefer to have eyes on the ground that's having a little bit more communication with us. We're here to help to, solve getting the patient moved, whether it be by air, ground, or like I said, if you just need extra hands because it's a really terrible scene and we can come out and assist in doing a little bit of medical stuff, but not transport, great. If we transport, even better, but use us, we're always here. So call us if you need us. Any questions?
What is the size of patient that you guys can take, like heaviest patient and height-wise as well?
So weight depends on the day, depends on the crew that we have, it depends on the temperature outside, it depends on the altitude that we're going. Normally-ish, we're like 225-ish.
Yeah, I mean, we can do upwards of, 300 pounds is kind of pushing it. Just depends on the conditions. Is it hot? Are we like way up in altitude? Like she said, the crew, how much fuel we have on board, so it varies. But I'd say 300 and below, we should be okay, and then it just depends.
Hot and cold, like colder it is.
The heavier we can take.
Yeah.
Height-wise, it kind of,
6'7".
yeah, we can bend their knees and we can do stuff, and honestly, they'll just sit in the person on the left, like their head will be in our lap, and we kind of like cradle them. We can also move the seat over if we needed to, the left seat to the middle, and give them all that room. We don't like to do it because then we don't have a lot of access to them, but we can do it if necessary. But we can figure out ways to kind of move around a patient, height-wise. It's usually weight. And then with weight, remember, if they're really short and they're really heavy, if they're too girthy and we can't close the door, then we can't take them either. So sometimes they may be, say, 315, and yes, we could do it, but they're all belly, and we can't get the door closed or the belts around them, then we're not going to be able to do that either.
And the weight's subjective too, right? Because if we're at a certain scene call, we can always leave someone behind or leave stuff behind if we need to make the weight.
Yeah. Is that some information for you guys, like right away, to try to figure out? Because I was on that call yesterday, and the first thing the medic said was, "How big is he?" And
So-
he was like $185. I didn't see any problem with flying him, and we almost had to leave one of the medics and walk out with that.
So if you can give us an estimate, we would love it. It's gonna help us. That doesn't mean that we won't still show up and attempt or try to figure something out, but it may mean that we just can't fly them. But if you know that, like, if you show up on scene and you're like, this person is like 450, like, yes, let us know. Like, it doesn't matter what configuration we do, we're not lifting that patient. That doesn't mean that we can't come help you guys, but just let us know, like, this patient's big, we're probably not gonna get him out.
Just crossed my mind with, like, if one of the crew members had to walk out with this and that patient was way more critical. It's like, shit, now you lose a set of hands, or the decision to go or no go
Yeah.
gets reviewed.
And the other thing that we don't do a ton, but we can technically do, is me and Kaylee can jump in the ambulance and we could go take them by ground if we need it. If the patient was so critical that they needed our care, but we can't fly them and we're on the scene, we could, like, there are ways we can do things. Like, I have been left by the helicopter before to go by ground. You know, especially like CPR in progress, if they get ROSC and they need more advanced stuff that EMS doesn't carry that we have, we've jumped in the back and we've rode down with EMS. So
Get creative.
we get very creative. Like, there's definitely ways. So just because of the weight, it's not always a no-go. Like, call us and we can configure, like, from there what we need to do.
Are you guys taking, with like a child, are you guys taking a family member too, or usually just the child?
Just the baby.
I figured.
So it's case dependent. If, no, I'm gonna tell you normally, don't tell parents we'll take them.
Sure.
Like, normally it's a no. If we have like a special needs that is really more comfortable with the parents, then sometimes people will take them, and it's crew dependent too.
Sure.
I don't like it because the patient has to sit far right, which blocks our exit, and they can't actually get to the patient or do anything anyway. Yeah, the patient, or the parent sits far right. So they're not being able, it's not like in an ambulance where they can sit back and hold their hand and comfort them. And then if something goes wrong, you now have a hysterical parent also in the aircraft with you that you're like, who's behind the pilot. Like, it's just, I don't like it. But some crews will take a parent.
You'll see when we get out there, it's very tight inside too. And like, if the parent comes with us, they have to hold our red bag. And like, it just doesn't feel right personally. But I understand it's frustrating. Like, they want to fly with us.
Yeah.
So just setting the expectation, saying no from the beginning is probably best, and then we can,
Have a side conversation when you guys get there.
yeah.
Yeah. And the bigger thing is, I can tell you on scenes, we're probably not going to take a parent because we don't have a seat. We have to put an extra seat in order to take a parent. So if we don't know ahead of time, like, most of the time the seat doesn't come. So it's an automatic no because we don't have a seat for them. So.
If you guys have multiple helicopters out on calls, do you do some sort of coverage for the different areas?
Because medevac would be.
Yeah, so like for us, if we are out, then they'll try to get 3 first, just to keep it, you know, within whatever, but at the same time, they look at this closest. So if we're out, but medevac is closer than 3, then they can dispatch medevac, or they can dispatch Flight for Life, or Air Life, or Classic, or, I mean, there's,
So many
yeah.
We'll just look at.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
they're just all over the place. So usually if you ask for an aircraft, you're gonna get a aircraft. I just can't guarantee you which one it will be.
It's like,
What would you say justifies a flight transport in terms of like patient acuity and the alternative ground transport time?
So anything that's time dependent really, so is a huge one. So if it's a stroke, if it's an MI, we can get them down to definitive care a lot quicker than ground can. So especially coming through a canyon or something, you're looking at 30, 45 an hour, we can get down in 15 minutes. So any of that, any really serious trauma, multi-system organ trauma that's going downhill that you're looking at and it's like, this patient's sick, if it's a red, I would call us. EMS is now carrying blood, which is amazing. Before we only carried blood, so now that they're starting to be able to carry blood, but we also can bring more blood. Rattlesnake bites, we can get crowfab as long as we're aware and we're at MCR. Lifeline 1 specifically can get crowfab and bring it to the scene to give to rattlesnake bites.
Severe burn patients too, we can fly direct to University, which is the burn center in Denver. So we can bypass MCR or any of the other hospitals, just knowing it's a severe burn.
Yeah, peds, same thing. If it's a sick ped that is stable enough for us to go, we can call MCR and say, hey, we have this really sick kiddo, we would like to overfly you and go to peds or to children's, and most of the time they'll say yes because they want them to go to children's as well. Yeah, like any really sick patient, and like I said, even if you're on the fence, like I don't know, call us, because I've gone on tons of scenes, and I'm sure Keely has as well, is where we land, we evaluate, and as a crew with EMS and fire and everybody, we decide this patient doesn't need to fly, they can go by ground. So not a big deal, no harm, no foul. We came out, we helped you guys, but we all decided they need to go by ground, or vice versa. Like we land and we didn't think they were as bad, we get them out, and now their blood pressure tanked, they're really sick. Okay, actually they are going to come with us.
So is that dispatch information? So when we call for like an air standby, you guys want to hear like, hey, this is a rattlesnake bite? Like, is that something you want in that initial, or just a little bit of information for what you guys, or if we're asking for blood, you guys want that as well in that dispatch now?
We will always bring blood regardless. The rattlesnake bite's the bigger one. Like if we can just get a little bit of information, like, you know, the really pertinent stuff, rattlesnake bite, CPR is in progress, the age, you know, just possible stroke, possible heart attack, those kind of things, because it cues us up like, okay, this is what we're thinking, and it helps decide where we're going to go. I would say 80% of the time we're going to MCR, like just because they're level 1, they're a cardiac center, they're everything. But if they're sick, but they're not like, they're sick enough to need us, but not so sick they need MCR, we may go to PBH. Like it just kind of depends, but it helps us to be thinking about, or this is what we need to take out, or.
And the Crow app we have to get from our pharmacy, so that just takes like an extra minute, so that's always helpful, just to have that heads up, because it takes a while to reconstitute that drug too. It comes in 4 to 6 different vials, and you have to do like 20 mLs of each one, so it's like not like a quick little throw it together thing.
And then you have to sit there and you have to roll it, because you can't
so,
just mix it, so we're like sitting there rolling, trying to get it reconstituted, so yeah.
I've always thought of like 1 hour by ground or more kind of being like the breakover point to consider flight, but maybe that's more like 30 minutes.
I would say 30, yeah, I would say 30 minutes, and depending, like I said, what their diagnosis is. If it's a stroke, if it's an MI, like it confirmed, like, yes, we think this is a stroke, yes, we think this is an MI, this patient is super sick, I would say 15 minutes, I would call us. If it's greater than 15 minutes, I would call us. Because by the time, especially if EMS is on scene and has them packaged and we can kind of take them and go, we can be back up in the air and back to a facility within 15, 20 minutes. So it all just kind of depends.
Do all of your pilots take hot loads? Or is that pilot dependent?
They all should. We kind of talk as a crew when we land, and they will ask us, do you want to stay hot? If we know that this patient is packaged and ready to go, we'll probably tell them stay hot. If not, then we'll shut down. And we kind of have that conversation. We base it when we land, kind of how the scene's looking, how everybody's looking. Like if there's a patient on the cot waiting for us, then we're like, yeah, okay, maybe we should stay. But if everybody's still in the house or still working on the car, getting somebody extricated, then we'll shut down. Sometimes we'll get out hot and like tell them, hey, stay hot for a second. We'll turn around and say, yep, stay hot, or no, like shut it down. This is going to be a couple more minutes than we thought. And our startup and shutdown is pretty quick. It's not like it used to be. I think it used to take them forever. Now these guys can get it started up within a couple minutes, and we're good. Any other questions?
How many flight hours do you have?
Probably about 4,700.
Just a light 47.
Yeah, I got a good
I'll
figure.
find out I'm driving time.
All right, well, if we don't have any other questions, we'll go out and do a little bit of hands-on with the helicopter itself, and then we can do a couple evolutions for you guys to set up an LZ for us, and we'll call it a day.
Do you know how to get this?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, well, I put it on for about 5 or 6 years. Every day.
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna do. So I don't completely jack this up. It should be more.